do a pretty good job. It takes me back about 50 years to the Canadian Mar Thoma Church Sunday School. I was writing in my notebook, nothing has changed. It's virtually exactly the same. It's exactly what we used to do when we were about your age. So it is nice to have a deja vu experience, to come here and see what happens. So thank you very much for the performance, and I'm sure it will continue on for another bit and a bit more. So it's good. Now I want to tell you a story about myself, about growing up in a little village in Kerala. Now, I had my first footwear when I was 9 years old. Until 9 years, I never wore anything on my feet. I walked around barefooted. That was no problem because everybody else walked around barefooted. So I still remember getting my first pair of chappals. You know what a chappal is? The thing that is blue underneath and white on top, made of rubber, that is what is called a chappal. And I had my first chappal. I went to Tiruvalla and bought it. You know why I got it? Because my uncle was getting married, my father's youngest brother. And they felt I should have something on my feet. So I got my first chappal. I still remember it, wearing it for the first time. The only problem with chappals in Kerala is that you wear it, when you wear it, it gets dirty. And I didn't like that. So I remember going to the church for my uncle's wedding with my chappals, one in my left hand and one in my right hand. See, it was very important to have them, but wearing them was not as important. So I went to the church and I had a blue and white chappal on my left hand and a blue and white chappal on the right hand. Now, of course, you can understand that these chappals lasted for a long time because I never wore them. The next time I got a chappal was when I went to boarding school, and that was 13 years old. So again, my parents thought I should have something on my feet. And I remember going to the boarding school. I had the same sort of chappals, blue underneath and white on top. And these ones, I wore it very proudly to my boarding school. And when I was there, I noticed that there was one problem. The problem was my chappals were brand new. Everybody else's was worn. Because these were rich kids from Malaysia. In those days, nobody from Persia, but mostly from Malaysia, and nobody from Canada, I can tell you, in my boarding school. But mostly from Malaysia and Singapore. And my father was a farmer. So we never had old chappals, we only had new chappals, and I had the only chappals we ever had in our house, you see. So this is the only chappal I have. So I was very embarrassed. I mean, you have no idea when you are 13. If you look a little bit different from everybody else, it is extremely, what would you call it? Extremely challenging, embarrassing, nerve-wracking, humiliating, yeah, all that. So it is extremely challenging. So what did I do? I devised a way of becoming acceptable and accepted. I still remember going and sitting on a series of steps that go all the way right down to the rice paddies in front of our school every day at 5:30 in the afternoon before the dinner bells rang, and rub my chappals on those concrete steps. And I rubbed them as hard as I could, until I could see the blue through the white. Within 2 days, my chappal looked like it was at least 6 months old. And I was happy. Now I asked myself, when I was 9, I wanted my chappals to be brand new and not be dirty. But when I was 13, I wanted my chappals to be as dirty and as old as possible. Why did I do that? I asked. I did it because I wanted to be accepted. A sense of belonging is the one most significant, important thing in our life. I want to belong. It is possible that almost 99% 95% of the things we do each day is to have the sense of belonging. I sat there and rubbed my chuckles on those concrete steps until I knew my chuckles were ready to belong to the rest of the community. What are the things that you do to get a sense of belonging? What are the things you try to work hard at? You spend your money on, your time on, your energy on, so that you somehow get the feeling that you belong. Let me tell you one more little story from my life. You like to hear it? Yes. I don't know if you ever seen a cow. Have you seen a cow? Have you touched a cow? Where did you do that? In Kerala. I didn't think you would have done it here. It's a good idea to go to a farm. We had lots of cows when I was a small boy. Now, let me tell you, I am a very special person because I have done something that none of you have ever done and none of you will ever do. I can guarantee you that. Now, as a little boy, one of the jobs that I had to do was to clean the cow shed. You know the cow dung? You clean it. And then you have to carry it to the sugarcane field. Now, you carry cow dung in a basket. So you gather it, put it in the basket, put it on your head, and then carry it to the sugarcane field. And sugarcane field is about 200, 300 meters away from our home. Do you speak in meters or feet here? Meters, thank you very much. Oh, it's very confusing. So I walked to the sugarcane field, but in Kerala there is one small problem. It rains all the time. You know that, don't you? And this rains, but you still have to carry the cow dung to the sugarcane field. So as you carry, this basket gets filled with water. And then, as it gets filled, it runs over the basket. And then it runs onto your head. And then it runs onto your face. And then it runs onto the crevice of your mouth. And down. Now I feel like wiping it off with your fingers, but the problem is I was holding the basket with my hand, so I couldn't wipe it. So I can still remember pushing the cow dung off my face. Because at least the tongue was clean and my fingers were not clean. So, now that's why I said I'm very special. You may have touched a cow, but you have never tasted cow dung. You see, this is something very special about being brought up in a village and having experienced it. It's a brilliant, brilliant thing. Next time when you go to Kerala for a holiday, try carrying some cow dung if you can find it. If you can't, come to my house. We still have 15 or 20 cows. So there's no problem. I can find some cow dung for you. And if it doesn't rain, I'll have a shower over your head. You can have water running over your face. There are three things important to all human beings: to belong, to believe, to become. Can you remember that? What's the first one? To belong. Second, to believe. Third, to become. This is what our life is all about. And I said that almost 95% of our energy and time and talent are spent on getting a sense of belonging. But we also want to believe in something. And if you don't have what is real, you will believe in something that is not real. Everyone believes in something. And the final thing I said was to become. We all want to become something or somebody. And we work towards that. It's my prayer that you will know what it means to belong to your family, and through your family to God. And of course this church will help you. I hope and I pray that you will know what it means to believe, and that you will believe in the right thing. Your faith will be established in God through Jesus Christ. And the third thing, I pray and I hope that you will become what God has designed you to become. That you will fulfill God's purposes in your life. God be with you, and thank you for the pleasure, absolute pleasure of serving.